What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to have a deep dive with this mighty beast, the Molecular by Ceriatone. Quick tour of the front panel on the Molecular. This is a single channel amp, but there are high and low inputs. Then we've got a gain control with a switch called Edge underneath. So the Edge switch is a three-way bright cap selector. The center position is no bright cap, and then you've got two different choices for the bright cap. This is going to change the character of the gain on the amp, and we will have a listen to those very soon. There's then a master volume control with an error switch, and this is the big part of the sound on this amp. The error switch chooses between either no diode clipping in the center position, or you have two different choices of diodes, and I'm going to cheat and look over here. To the right, it selects an MPSA06 diode, and to the left, it chooses a 1N4749A diode. I really like the left position, but the right position is sort of the authentic Atomica clipping position. Basically, Nick offers this with any option that you like for diode clipping. I know Xena diodes are very popular for this kind of Jose style thing. In fact, they're probably the classic Jose style thing. Then we've got 3-band EQ, as you would expect. And then there's three kind of like power amp controls here, presence and depth. Along with the depth control, there is a character switch, again, which chooses a couple of different resistors. But the big control that I really wanted to have on this amp was the girth control, and girth controls negative feedback. At 0 on the pot, there's just a fixed resistor value, and then this is a 100K pot, so you can increase that negative feedback resistance by up to another 100K, and this can change the overall character of the amp so much. As you turn that up, you get a bit more gain, a bit more volume, and it kind of sounds brighter and punchier. As you turn it down, it gets a little bit sort of saggier and fizzier, but we will hear that in action very, very soon. Let's take a look at the back panel. All right, starting on this side, there is a two-way switch which is unlabeled, but essentially it corresponds to the feel switch on the Atomica. There is again, the authentic value, which I believe it's just a treble bleed in there, or you've got a switch in here to give you Nick's take on all of it. I really like the up position, so I've labeled it there. Then there is a bypassable serial effects loop, which is buffered. Sounds really, really good. I've run a bunch of pedals through it and have not noticed any tone suck. Then you've got your typical speaker impedance selector, the exposed bias points, which is really awesome, fuses, and of course, you know, a place to plug in the power. So that's what's going on the back panel. If we were to take this off, there's actually a little trim pot on the inside next to valve number 1, which can control the resistor value for this feel switch. So it comes stock set to those authentic Atomica settings, but you can get in there and fine tune that if that's something that you want to do. All right, let's actually have a listen to this beast. I want to show off some of my favorite tones with this amp now in no particular order. I'm playing a Strat at the moment and I'm plugged into the low input. The error and the edge switches are set in the middle, so no bright cap, no diode clipping. I've got the master all the way up and the gain at around noon. I'll turn the gain up in a little bit because you can experiment with really getting that sweet edge of breakup bluesy thing with this particular setup. It cleans up beautifully with the volume control there. What has a big effect on this is the girth control. I've got it set quite low at the moment. I'm going to turn it up and it's just going to give me a little bit more headroom and add a bit of brightness. Wonderful stuff. Let's try the same thing, but with the high input now. I love that. That's got some kerrang about it. What we'll do is we will flick the error switch to the left and the edge switch to the left, and this will give us a really bright 80s style tone. I'll just adjust the EQ and the gain a little. And this is so stank face worthy. I'm just going to prove it to you guys. We're back with the error switch in the middle now. I've got the volume and the gain just above noon. I've tweaked the EQ a little bit, and this gives you a wicked 70s percussive sort of sound. Very JCM 800 style there with the error switch in the middle and a Les Paul. Let's swap over to my PRS because I want to pull some really cool heavy tones with this now. Alright, turn the girth down, scoop the mids out, flick the error switch to the right, and it gets pretty chuggy. It sounds like this. If you do the opposite, you boost the mids and you turn the girth control all the way up, it tightens things right up. This is really the way I like to run this particular amp. Error switch to the left, edge switch to the left, character to the left. As you can see, I've boosted quite a bit of presence and depth to go along with all of it. This is probably my favorite tone out of this amp. So as you can hear, super tight, loads of gain on tap there, and I'm not using a boost pedal or anything like that in front of it, which I'm so used to just to get the character that I like out of amps. But this one really, in my opinion, doesn't need it. Between all the different bright cap options, the error switch options, the feel switch on the back, you can really kind of dial it in for your guitar, and I'm in love with the way this particular mode sounds. There's so many different ways you can tweak it out. The different speakers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run to my cab room. We've been using V30s. I'm going to connect the same mic, but I'm going to use my greenback cab just for a point of difference. Let's have a listen to that. And with this particular cab, I think this is right in the ballpark of what I love as well. There you go. Hopefully that showcases some of what this amplifier can do. Even if you don't want to use a diode clipping in it, just with that error switch in the middle, it sounds like a great late 70s style Marshall amp. EL34s, 12AX7s, nothing else going on. You could use it as a pedal platform, or you could just run a Les Paul into it and play AC/DC songs. It is going to absolutely cut through that like butter. The girth control on there, I'm so glad I asked for that because that just gives you so much more control over the power amp response, and that's something that I really like. Having come from a digital modeling rig, I use an Axe-Fx Live and I've been recording with it, and I absolutely adore that thing. It sounds amazing, and it gives you so much control over parameters like the negative feedback. And the fact that I was using an Axe-Fx and always tweaking stuff like the negative feedback in the amp block was like, well, if I'm going to order an amplifier, I want it to have a negative feedback control, and we gave it a cool name like Girth as well. Nick from Ceriatone, I have to say as well, was so great to work with. We sent like nearly 100 emails back and forth. And a lot of what I love about this amp are the tweaks that he suggested on top of the stock Atomica style circuit. You know, there's the feel switch at the back, and I much prefer Nick's version of that over the stock Atomica value. Same thing with the diode clipping. We've got the option to have the authentic style Atomica diode clipping in there, but I actually like the other one, the Ceriatone style one. And same thing with the bright cap options and the character control. So even though it is based off an Atomica circuit, it definitely has its own thing going on. I think it's even more flexible, and you can make it sound even juicier and tighter if you want to be able to do that. The other thing as well is it's just got a really great character about it, and that's why I like tube amps. You know, a lot of people ask me like, hang on, you play an Axe-Fx Live and in the studio and you love that thing, why would you go and buy a tube amp? And well, I just like tube amps. You know, they sound great, they smell great. I'm never going to go touring with this thing, but I want it in my studio because it's got a one-of-a-kind character going on, and that's so important to me with gear. The fact that I can pull this out, I can plug it in with no pedals, I can connect it to a cab, and it just inspires me to play. It inspires me to get recording and writing and to, you know, basically make new music, and that's what any good piece of gear should do. That's the ultimate litmus test for me, and this Molecular definitely ticks that box. The other thing as well is just how affordable this thing is. $1,200 US, which whatever that converts to in Australian dollars at the moment, I wasn't too concerned about it. I was just like, just make me the amp and charge me whatever it costs, because I have wanted one of these things for so long. Essentially, it's like I said in my original video with this thing, it's like my dream Marshall circuit. It's pretty much, if I was going to have a signature amp, it would be this thing. And luckily, it's not an overpriced signature amp that no one would buy. You can go and buy it. It says Molecular on it. And for $1,200 US, I mean, that is pretty amazing considering what you would compare it to. Like, you certainly can't go and buy a Cameron Atomica for any less than, you know, like $4 or $5 grand if they come up. And if you look at stuff like the Friedman amps in Australia, they are horrendously expensive, like more than twice the price of something like this. Again, if you can find them. The fact that Ceriatone are in Malaysia also means that stuff ships really, really quick. So if you're an Aussie, it's almost a no-brainer to go with these guys if you want some kind of hot-rodded Marshall amp that will fulfill all your gear fantasies. And yeah, I mean, the other thing is Marshall don't make anything like this. Like, they're too concerned with being a lifestyle brand now that it's like, you know, quite a few people are making these kind of Jose-style Marshall circuits, like single channel, couple little switches on there. It's really, really fun. You can find your one sound that you're going to use all night, set it up with your guitar, have it interact with your guitar volume control. And, you know, so many people's ideal Marshall tone is that late 70s, early 80s modded thing. You know, George Lynch, Warren DeMartini, all those albums that were recorded with modded Marshalls, Red Beach, Eddie Van Halen and his amp. It's kind of strange that Marshall aren't making an amp like this. But luckily Ceriatone are. So if you like this, you can go and order this amplifier. It's available on their website. They also make it in a 100 watt version. And you can basically have it any way you like, any type of head shell. It's infinitely customizable. They're very, very affordable for what you're getting. And the build quality is amazing. They sound amazing, and they smell amazing. And that is the one thing that nothing can replace about a tube amp, is that authentic smell. Thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.